to Subject to Change,
where ideas come together.
It's a show about nothing.
This is a Moosie masterpiece.
That it is.
So tonight we thought we'd start off with a little introduction track. That's a homemade beat by yours truly. Feel free to DM me on Instagram at Midwest Moosie for any audio engineer consultations or beat inquiries. And on today's episode, it is brought to you by Cooper for Texas. He is running for U.S. Senate. That is my dad, and he is based out of Beaumont, Texas. Let's go into his endorsement speech.
Why education? I'm known by Houston Chronicle and the Dallas Morning News as the education reformer, because everywhere I went, I talked about education. If we don't make a difference in our education system, it's the oldest thing, the antiquated thing that still exists the same way it did over 100 years ago, and yet we still have used books who don't have the right curriculum, trying to teach towards testing and no longer teaching. I am for sure pushing for free education for our educators. If we're going to invest in our children, we need to invest in our educators and make sure they go to school for free and ask them to return to teach our kids for at least 5 years. My name is Michael Cooper. I approve this message.
All right, so that is Michael Cooper's endorsement speech on education. Josh is going to lead us off with some of his ideas and ideologies.
All right, that was Michael Cooper from Michael Cooper II. Yeah, so as for his platforms, he says he sides with universal health care.
He also would like to remove marijuana from the federal list of drugs.
Loan forgiveness for public servants like firefighters, cops, teachers, so on and so forth.
As well as education. He would like to provide all sorts of loan forgiveness, and he promotes education in public schools. So, moving on, we're going to focus on some other people in the community. I'd like to give a special shout out to Raven the Bird out of Beaumont, Texas as well. His debut album, Bird Season, is available on Apple Music. Please like his Facebook page as well. You could find him on Facebook under The Bird Raven. Also search him on Instagram. On Apple Music, his debut album, The Bird Raven, is 8 tracks, and it is a really, really good volume of work. He produces with Corey Cooper, also based out of Beaumont, Texas. It is hip-hop music. And I'd also like to give a special shout-out to UC_Prodigy on YouTube. That is UC_PR0DIGY on YouTube. This is Dalton Hill, a fellow classmate of mine, and he posts videos over video games such as PUBG, Black Ops, Fortnite, and Rocket League. Also, a special shout out to Danny Maloney KC. Let's see if I could reach over here for our video viewers. As you can see, this is one of his
holding it upside down.
Thank you, Josh. This is one of his camouflage stickers. He's a DJ in Kansas City. You could follow him on Instagram at Danny Maloney KC. That's DANNYMALONEY KC. If you need any DJ bookings, feel free to contact him via direct messaging. All right, so tonight's episode, we wanted to focus on a few different, let's see, what do we call these? Segments.
Segments mainly pop culture oriented to varying degrees.
Yeah, we want to gradually work our way up into politics. As you can see, we started off with our endorsement for Cooper for U.S. Senate. Also, just to cement that in the viewers' minds of what Mr. Cooper is running for, my dad, U.S. Senate, if you don't already know, that's a federal position, so he will have the power to help pass laws such as removing marijuana from the federal list of drugs. all right, on a federal level. He did recently run for lieutenant governor in Texas. He lost by about 5%. So in his new campaign trail, this is on a federal level. So even people here in Kansas City, Missouri can vote for him on the ballot in 2020.
And he's a Texas politician who frequently wears a cowboy hat, so you know he means business.
Yes, sir. All right. So to some of this less important material, but equally as entertaining as some of these policies that Mr. Cooper holds, is first we got the Florida Birthday Challenge. All right.
So the challenge is, and I only get it to a certain degree, but with the Florida Birthday Challenge, you look for Florida articles based on your birthday. Now, the part I don't get is whether or not it has to do with what you're looking for is the date in which they were released or the date in which the crazy thing happened, because they can vary degrees. So what is your birthday on?
So my birthday is August the 20th, 1993. So I'm going to go ahead and do a quick Google search for August the 20th, 1993, Florida.
Is the year? I didn't know the year was part of it.
Yes. So let's see. Take me back.
Yeah, because you're probably not going to get as much of the Florida crazy stuff, since I think what they have going on with their current crazy media portrayal, I think, is a more recent thing.
Yeah, we're actually going to do a direct search for Florida Birthday Challenge.
Yeah, because I mean, nowadays, back before Alabama took it out of the gate as the most embarrassing state in the U.S., Florida is. Because it's a weird thing with Florida, because from what I gathered on my research, like the reason why Florida has this just constant flow of crazy articles, even by title alone, is just because their media laws are a bit more loose, so they can get a bit more descriptive that way. So yeah, I think you'd be better off just getting rid of the year and just go with August 20th. Florida man accused of biting Florida man accused of biting two toddlers dozens of times.
Oh man.
See, wasn't that a good idea?
Yes. Look at this guy's mugshot. First of all,
he just looks mildly annoyed.
Yes.
He's like, yeah.
This guy hasn't had a good lineup in probably longer than I have. And let's see.
I think the St. Louis Rams have had better lineups than him.
So, Rashawn Davis of Tarpon Springs was arrested on 2 counts of aggravated child abuse with great bodily harm, according to the county sheriff's office. Davis is being held on a $100,000 bail.
Detectives also arrested the mother of the children, Andrea Fulton, 25, and charged her with 2 counts of child neglect with great bodily harm. WFTS, I almost read that as WTF, because, how else do you describe this story?
Yeah, it says that 4 of his children, 1, 2, 3, and 6, were taken from their home by child protection investigators because of domestic-related incidents. Okay, so it said, oh my God. Now...
Yeah, I mean, if there's one job I don't envy, it's working for CPS in frickin' Florida.
Yeah. Now, not to make light out of this situation, but just the humor of the matter is just the fact that you can actually Google your birthday and you find these ridiculous stories on people in Florida that are doing these crazy, crazy things. It says that the 2-year-old boy suffered from more than 35 lacerations and 8 bite marks on his back, buttocks, and his cheek. What the?
The buttocks is more worrisome.
Oh my God. And then the 3-year-old boy had a circular bite mark on the buttock. Oh my God. I don't think the shapes were necessary.
Just shape, if you're biting on the ass, then that just tells me that, because they're pretty small children, so he probably ran out of places to bite.
Oh my God. Look, Davis admitted to the deputies that he bit the 2-year-old boy numerous times out of frustration. Lord Jesus, this man needs help.
All right, now my birthday, April 4th. And just as a disclaimer, we only approach this humorously, only just out of how messed up it is. frankly, that's the only way you can approach these things. Florida man, 71, accused of repeatedly exposing himself at eateries, placed on house arrest. This guy, it looks like he's right out of Faces of Meth.
Can we get a close-up shot of this guy right here? Look at this. Look at this.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, not the best resolution picture, but
He almost looks like Danny DeVito.
but he's probably world's taller and definitely. Alvaro Pena Yepes, 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 who has been
exposing himself at restaurants and bars. Oh my God.
has been arrested at least 12 times since. Hang on, can you go back down a little bit?
Yeah.
Has been arrested at least 12 times since 2012. Has been placed on house arrest after breaking curfew.
You know what? We're gonna have to give this the kawaii laugh.
Kawaii laugh. Show them the kawaii laugh. And no, it's not an anime laugh for those of you wondering.
This segment has been edited for your listening pleasure.
That's a preview for our next segment.
Just ignore, or if you don't want to ignore, just enjoy that little audio flub.
There we go.
Frankly, I think it gives us an amateurish charm. So, who is the distinguished gentleman behind that?
So that's
Andrea.
Kawhi Leonard. If you haven't seen his interview with ESPN, he's famous for his laugh where he sounds like he's out of breath or out of gas or whatever.
It's almost yeah, cool. Like, because it almost sounds like the laugh that black people do when they're making fun of white people. It's like, hello there, fellow Caucasian. I too am a fellow Caucasian.
Yes, sir. All right, moving on. So the Florida birthday challenge, that's great, y'all. All right.
Do it yourselves and feel free to share the disturbingly entertaining
Please
results.
Comment below the SoundCloud link, whether this is a Facebook link, YouTube.
Share them with each other or just whatever.
Please.
Because frankly, with that dumpster fire of a stay, we have to find some levity somewhere.
Yes, and we have more to come. All right. Next up, we got is Lil Nas X's Old Town Road, country or not?
Yeah, so unless you've been under a rock, you probably at least heard something about this song. So what's the full controversy?
So let's see. I think we need a little bit of background music for this. Let's see what we got here. I'm gonna hit him with that little Uzi. All right. So, in my opinion, okay. First of all, let me explain the situation.
Yeah, lay it all out for us.
Okay.
Because I'm a little fuzzy too.
So, Lil Nas X is a hip-hop artist. He charted on the Billboard country charts for about 2 weeks straight until people started demanding that it was taken down because it wasn't in the format of modern country. They said that it didn't fit the song structure. And in my opinion, I listened to it and my audio background says, no, it does not fit the modern country structure. But when you listen to popular bands like Zac Brown Band and all these others, you can see the genre bending, especially in artists like Post Malone. Okay, so, you look online and you see videos of rappers like on VLAD being interviewed by, VLAD interviewing these rappers, asking them, how would you feel if a country artist with no hip-hop background came on the scene and started posting hip-hop songs and started charting? Well, immediately people are like, oh, that's Post Malone. Well, the thing is, it may be, but the thing is, Post Malone, he knows how to make a hip-hop song. So I'm really conservative with this statement, but at the same time, I still firmly do believe that, unfortunately, Old Town Road is a hip-hop song. As much country influence as it has, especially on the remix with Billy Ray Cyrus, the hi-hats are indicative of hip-hop, and so is the song structure. So I'm going to have to laugh at that one again as well.
Yeah. Well, let's face it, they're holding it up based on a standard of country music that modern-day country music probably wouldn't pass nowadays. Just...
It is what it is.
Yeah, I just say this, because I'd say for about the first 16 years of my life, like, I was nothing but country music. That's just what my family had. I was pretty much exposed to no other music, so I've been doing a lot of catching up, and country music has gone through an interesting evolution. I'd say that I got out of it right when it started to severely change. That's when we got what's known as bro country. That's
That Zach Brown band, even Darius Rucker, I would say, is bro country with songs like All Right and, most of his
I wouldn't call
albums.
that bro country. He's like more just chill acoustic guitar. Like, he's pretty safe.
That's going to be the stuff that you hear at, like, weddings, though. You know what I mean? I feel like that's, like, that uppity, like,
Yeah, I mean,
all right. When I think of country, for me, I'm thinking of people like Willie Nelson. I'm thinking of Johnny Cash, Wayne Jennings, stuff like that. So when I hear, this modern country that's overprocessed and everything like that, I can't get into it as heavy as I would some of the older stuff.
yeah. Well, I mean, and here's a fun thing, and this is a game that I'm hoping to come up with. Maybe I'll even sell the actual product soon, but I call it the Bro Country Bingo game. Just get a blank bingo card and fill it out with typical bro country cliches like trucks or blue jeans or girl, not G-I-R-L, but G-U-R-L, girl. I don't know, maybe something about a gun rack. Just fill that on a sheet. Let's do a bro country one after the other and see who fills it out first. But my point being is that if you think about it, country's been taking more influence from hip hop in general. So I think if you could probably make the case that Old Town Road is basically just the aria on a long building song.
Yeah, I do think that it is definitely a stepping stone for other artists to try and experiment. I think the way that Lil Nas did his recent country song and his remix is very different than what other artists have done in the past, such as Nelly, like Nellyville, Country Grammar, or even like how Snoop Dogg bends genres, like with his Snoopadelic album with Dame Funk, or even his Snoop Lion, stuff like that. I think it's all an act. Even like Kid Rock. I mean, look at Kid Rock.
Well, Kid Rock is a pretty eclectic artist in the first place.
Excuse my paranoia. I heard the air come on. I felt like it was 12 at the door. But anyway, I feel like Lil Nas X was just very, very authentic, and even the music video that aired a few days ago.
Yeah. Did you ever see the original music video where it's just a bunch of Red Dead Redemption 2 clips?
Like the fan video or something like that?
Yeah, I heard that it was like the original video.
I see what you're saying.
But I don't know, it could have been like I could be entirely misled, but from what I heard, like the original video was just clips of Red Dead Redemption 2, which nothing against that. It's if there's anything you're gonna pull clips from, might as well be from that.
I'll have to go look at that. I think our listeners should also take a look at that, because I feel like, hip-hop is definitely going to it's going to be exposed on the web first in its early stages, and oftentimes, an artist is going to try and cover that up with a more skillfully produced video. But if that's what you're saying was the original video, then I think everybody should know about that.
Plus, who could go wrong with RDR2?
That one's a bit over my head.
Yeah, those of you that know the game, like, they'll get it.
All right.
Lenny, my boy, Lenny.
Well, sticking to the same country topic, I also wanted to mention that Mason Ramsey is coming to the Granada. He's going to be out there on October the 19th this year.
And for the uninitiated, who they also recognize Mr. Ramsey as.
All right, let's go ahead with some more intro music on this one. So Mason Ramsey is he's a young artist that was spotted in Walmart yodeling. They call him the Yodel Boy. He went viral for singing this song in Walmart that was like a yodel style. And he eventually, I don't think he headlined Coachella, but he performed at Coachella last year. And so since then, he's recorded several, studio recordings, and just Google him and look at like Google News, and you'll see all of the different. Let's go ahead and change this up a little bit. Excuse us.
Well, not a lot of people go from waiting in line at Walmart to Coachella.
Yeah. So I just think that he is a legitimate artist, but at the same time, I think that I'm kind of in the dark about like exactly like what he does and if he has a real following, if anything. And for me, I've been to the Granada several times. The most recent show that I went to was the Smino show with Phoenix and Earth Gang, a part of the Dreamville Collective. And there's a lot of like young hype beasts that go to that sort of show, and also like college freshmen and, you know, just people that I feel like have FOMO or fear of missing out. And for me, I'm definitely someone who has FOMO, but I'm a great deal older than that crowd. So I'm just not sure if that's something that I want to like take my time out to go investigate. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, it would have been nice if we could have looked into more of his work. It's 10 out of 10 journalism for us.
All right. So what else do we have here? Yeah, so just let us know if you plan on going to go see the Mason Ramsey show at the Granada, and you might see us there. So next up, our movie segment. We wanted to talk about a few movies, some which are still currently in theaters, and like even some that aren't. Like I just heard the commercial for Aladdin this morning. And honestly, I know I've seen it on list of upcoming movies, and it's kind of made me anxious to want to go see it before we actually got actual footage of what the movie looked like. But at this point, I'm just like, you know, I don't really like what they did with the genie. And
Does anybody?
Exactly. So I'm just kind of on the fence about that one. I might just have to wait until it releases on Hulu or something.
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts with with any of these live-action Disney remakes they're doing is the redundant nature of it is obvious, but at the same time, because I've seen this one meme going around. It's like, why are you doing just remakes of these movies that already exist and everybody already likes? Why not do like Atlantis: The Lost Empire or something, like a movie that has a cult following but didn't originally do well?
Exactly.
Just put some more life into something that can really use it.
Yeah.
I mean, with Aladdin, like, everyone's made fun of Will Smith as, as the genie blue and all, which, yeah, it looks weird. Though I do think that part of that, and, not to spit too far, but let's face it, Will Smith, like, his eyes are kind of far apart from his head, and I think that's the part that translated.
That's what's throwing me off. That's
the part
exactly what it is.
That's the part that translated the worst onto that, and
I'm glad you said that.
I know he's kind of been a sex symbol for a while and all that, but his eyes kind of freak me out a little bit.
You know what, guys? I think that's actually a safe date movie. I think the last date that I went on at the movies was The Dark Tower. And that was the Idris Elba Stephen King movie, if you guys aren't familiar with that one. And for me, I think anybody that's trying to go on a date to the movies should do some hardcore research in what they go see. And that fits the medium of exactly what a date movie should be. It's not Toy Story, but yet again, it's not like a guy fighting demons. That's just an awkward first date. I'm sorry, I don't care who you are, it's an awkward first date. Oh, we are in a goth chick, so maybe that's a cool first date for some people, but for most chicks, no.
Because it depends on who you're with. One of my favorite stories is back when was it? Back in around 2014, I think that's when the first 50 Shades movie came out, and every guy is getting dragged by their girlfriend to go see that. But my girlfriend at the time is like, no, let's go see Kingsman: The Secret Service instead, and I regret immediately not putting a ring on it. Like, that was my thank you.
You know what? I've had the same experience with certain movies, and I just feel like, for our listeners out there, if you want to get up on game, what he just said is key. If you find a movie that you and your significant other, or even if it's a first date, enjoy thoroughly, I don't want to get too deep into it, but my favorite movie is a movie that I saw on a first date. and it is just something that you should keep close to you. And if you find that, you should definitely consider putting a ring on it, because that's a rare experience.
Oh God, I had an awesome movie going experience with my girlfriend back at college, but the movie itself was, by all accounts, a horrible date movie. Have you ever seen Gone Girl?
Gone Girl, man. I mean,
that was the one.
What year did that come out?
Yeah, a couple years back. It was the one with Ben Affleck, whose wife goes missing, and there's this media, circus around him.
Like a Taken type movie. I think
not Taken. It's more like, did he do it? Did he not do it?
I see. I think
getting
I watched
railroaded?
it. I was probably living at home at the time, and that's something my mom would have probably put on the DVD.
Well, I mean, Tyler Perry's in it, and he's actually really good
Yes,
at it. He's like this Johnny Cochran type.
Yes. I don't remember it vividly, but that's definitely a movie my mom brought home at one point.
The story with that is, I was attending college at Cape Girardeau, Missouri at the time, and that's where that movie was being filmed.
Yes, you've told me about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, back when it was originally getting filmed, the town was kind of a buzz. People reporting Ben Affleck sightings like he's Bigfoot, and at that time he had the Batman physique, so he pretty much was Bigfoot in size. But yeah, I see that, and it's like a year after that where my girlfriend would eventually like transferred to that college, and we're about a year dating in at that time, and we're like, oh, let's go see this movie that was filmed right here. And sure enough, it's a I guess kind of spoiler alert, but it's about a guy whose wife fakes her own kidnapping and murder just to screw over her own husband, and basically just a messed up relationship. Perfect for a date. But it was neat because afterwards I could take her around downtown and be like, so this is where they shot this scene, and then this is where they shot this scene. It was pretty surreal. I actually knew a couple of people that were extras, and I got to spot them a few times in the film.
Wow, man, that is strong. Yeah, we encourage our listeners definitely to seek experiences like that. We look like two nerds here, but yeah, we do have.
No, I don't look like a nerd. I am a nerd.
Yeah, we do have a pretty good social life, and when you can have an experience like that, it's not just a movie, because obviously we all know that you take a chick to a movie and you're both sitting there for 2 hours in silence. That's not really a good first date. So if you can incorporate some scenery into it, such as that, that's ideal. So yeah, game recognized game, and you guys try that.
It's a shorter one, but it's another good story. It's another good story evolving around the movie. So, same girlfriend at the time. Yeah, it was a real active time back in college.
Real active time. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we were. I plead the fifth.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was a second Sin City movie, which
I remember that.
Yeah, it was alright. But it's like we decided to go see that, and while we're waiting, we decide to go walk around the nearby mall just to kill some time. And they're doing a blood drive, and she was very very spur of the moment sometimes. So she decides let's donate blood.
Let's give blood.
Yeah, let's give blood while we're waiting.
Yeah.
And then that takes a while. Unfortunately, ironically for her, she didn't have as much outward vein, so they actually couldn't find a good vein to stick it in. Meanwhile, it was her idea and she couldn't get it done. Meanwhile, I have extraordinary veins.
Yeah, I got heroin veins, dog. I feel you.
Nah, dude, if I get on H, I'm gonna have no trouble.
Yeah, give me some smack.
God, man. Given the current opioid crisis, I imagine a lot of people would be like,
Yeah, look, I don't know. That also, since we're talking about movies, I also recommend the Motley Crue movie on Netflix right now. Just look that up. That's a really good movie.
Yeah, but yeah, so I'm there. I'm the one giving blood in the end. As we're waiting, one of the people also giving blood, she flat out passes out from it.
Oh man.
So they have to roll her on a stretcher in front of a fan to help.
So what did you do? Did you just play Superman all of a sudden? What did you do to help, man?
I had a needle in my arm. I couldn't do shit. So Yeah, it turns out that process took so long, we actually missed the initial movie time that we were aiming for, so we had to wait an hour and more afterwards.
Wow.
But I did get to pull it off because, I had the bandage on my arm, and it's hurting a little bit. It's a little sore. I got to keep it elevated. So it made for the perfect excuse to do the reach around the shoulders. I didn't have to fake a yawn.
Yes.
I just had to be like, I just gotta elevate my arm real quick, and it worked.
Elevated, dog. Nice.
I got elevated. Hell yeah.
Oh, all right. So let's see. We didn't even talk about our strongest movie here, our Endgame.
Endgame. It's I'd say we're long enough into it to where I don't think anyone will care enough about spoilers. Frankly,
Wait. I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it?
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it?
Man.
Well, never mind then.
I mean, but what do you think of it? Because for me, honestly, I'm content with just seeing it on DVD. What was the last one that just came out?
The last Marvel movie?
No, the last Avengers.
Oh, the last of the Infinity War Part 1?
Yeah, Infinity War. For me, okay, now that one has been out for a while. So spoiler alert, okay? Fast forward about 30 seconds if you don't want to hear
Well,
this.
I mean, I'm pretty sure the trailer for Endgame essentially spoiled that.
It does.
It hinges on what happened after.
The people fading away into ash at the end, I know that's very, I don't know the technical word for it, but true to the story and canon, very canon. But at the same time, for me, seeing the Black Panther fade away after we just had this dope Black Panther movie, that was too much for me.
Well, that's how you know it's not going to be permanent, because Black Panther was especially profitable, and it was also the last movie I went on a date with too.
Wow.
So that parlays into that as well, man.
Yeah, I don't feel as
this
bad.
This is a constant tangent.
I don't feel as bad anymore that Dark Tower was the last movie I went on a date with. Now that you said Black Panther was, so I mean. We're one another.
She was a huge MCU fan, so
nice.
She was probably more into it than I was. Even.
Also, pro tip: date a girl that's a huge MCU fan. If she's into DC, leave her, please.
Shazam
was dope. Actually, I went to go see that with you and your buddy Rick, dude. That was actually one of my favorite movies of 2019. Spoiler alert: Megan Good's in that. Bam. Go see it.
She's good. Well, she's good. She's Megan Good, but she's in it, and the role she's in it's entertaining.
Yes, it is, and it made me feel so much better that it was a great movie, especially after wasting money to go see Captain Marvel. I'm sorry, but look, you just see me put Megan Good on a platform. Okay, so you got a female minority as a superhero or some type of character in this movie, let's just say that. And for me to sit here and shame Captain Marvel, I have no bias towards a female playing a superhero or even playing in a superhero movie, okay?
I mean, I'd say most people don't really.
I think when guys talk about that, and talk about Captain Marvel, about how trash it is, immediately we get attacked by females talking about, well, we needed a strong female superhero for women to look up to and everything. And I could play the devil's advocate right here and be like, well, why don't we give them somebody like Doc McStuffins or a female doctor to look up to? But I get it, because, all my life I craved a Black Panther movie, a black superhero, a black male superhero. But at the same time, it was just a trash-ass movie. There's nothing more to it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the usual response is then why not just do a Black Widow movie first? She's a much more beloved character. And, in Captain America's Winter Soldier, she was probably, the best character in that movie, but by far the funniest.
Black Widow has a butt double.
Is it what?
A butt double.
Just for the butt?
Just for the butt. I mean, this is facts. Look it up. Black Widow has a butt double. This is true. Apparently in the movie, some type of way, and I don't know if this is just meme culture, but her butt was not up to Hollywood standards, so she had a butt double. I'm just the middleman.
Who the hell is making that decision? Scarlett Johansson's buttocks is not to our standards. We shall employ.
I don't think she needed a butt double, personally.
Who the hell does?
Nobody. What's her name? From Kill Bill. I mean,
Uma Thurman?
Uma Thurman. She's attractive as hell. She has no ass, but she's attractive. You don't need to have an ass to be attractive. So to me, yeah, having a butt double is absurd. I just had to put that in there. It has nothing to do with her having her own movie or whatever.
Who's honestly just looking at ScarJo and thinking, yeah, her ass is too small.
Yeah. Exactly. But at the same time, I will also comment that she has nothing on Uma Thurman. And when I look at a lady in a bodysuit, Uma Thurman is always going to be the number one model-esque actress out there.
Yeah. Funny that, you end up going from, Captain Marvel to having no ass because she has no ass.
That was besides the point in Captain Marvel. There was too much other stuff going on for me to look at Captain Marvel in any type of way.
Have you ever seen that picture comparing her butt to Tom Holland as Spider-Man's?
Nah.
Like her ass is as flat as a chalkboard. Meanwhile, you pan over to Tom Holland as Spider-Man, like he is exceptionally bootylicious.
Oh, I know who you're talking about, though. Yeah. Well, look, and without, being one sexual orientation or another, I know what he means. But, yeah, I mean, for me, a superhero isn't the build. Even like Aquaman, like everybody, like I think that was a trash-ass movie.
And I think he is dead wrong.
Yeah, and so a lot of females would be like, oh, but did you see what was his name? All I think of is Game of Thrones whenever I think of him, like Khaleesi or whatever.
Yeah, Jason Momoa.
Yeah, Jason Momoa. But to me, it was a trash ass movie. So when people are like, oh, well, he was strong and he's fine and all this shit, I'm just like, what does that have to do with the quality of the movie? That has shit to do with the quality of the movie.
I mean, granted, there's some people that dig that. What I just dug was just the sort of like, vicious energy that he brought. Almost like he's just sort of got that to him.
Yeah, and I feel you. Yes, he does. Jason Momoa does. And in Game of Thrones is Khal Drogo. Thank you. It finally came to me. Thank you, God, for giving me this information. But look, Khal Drogo in Game of Thrones, I was almost disappointed when he spoiler alert, when he died in Game of Thrones, because I felt like his character was so good, and I actually saw Game of Thrones post Aquaman. I know, and we're going to get to Game of Thrones actually in this segment, but for me, I was just like, damn, why didn't he have as much like chutzpah in Aquaman as what he did in Game of Thrones, which is a HBO series on television. Meanwhile, I'm paying like $20 to go see Aquaman in 3D and all of this stuff. And what was all this stuff? He's popping up here, he's popping up there. I get it's a legacy story.
Yeah,
but
it's a treasure hunting film as well.
Dude, at some point, I'm like, what is he gonna pop up in Houston, Texas? Like, I was done with that movie, man. I was done the second, like the third place they got. I was like, psh. Now the CGI and all of that was dope, and all of like his lineage and how he met up with the chick, and they go through like the little barrier reef and all of that, and they have diplomatic immunity. That was dope. I think that was better played than what Black Panther, like than how their society was, and like how actually I think it was messed up how what T'Challa was actually like the Trump of Wakanda, like how he didn't want the outside forces, or not the outside forces, but like the poor Africans to come in to Wakanda. They kept out that civilization.
Yeah, part of me kind of wonders how much
initially.
Part of me kind of wonders like how much of the Black Panther movie was influenced by Trump, because but I know that Wakanda in the comics is kind of maintained more of an isolationist existence.
Sure. Yeah.
And there's. Because I imagine that they were looking at this and they were wondering, like, okay, this, all right, he's got harsh borders in a country that's relatively ethnostatic. I think people are going to take this the wrong way, so maybe we should do something about that.
Yeah, I think it helps for it to be an all-black movie, actually. And I think that's a perfect example of the separation between Black Hollywood and regular Hollywood. It's not a black movie, but at the same time, it wouldn't have made sense any other way.
Yeah. Although it is weird, just and I think it at least puts into perspective, I guess, that demographic in Hollywood, since it almost seems like for that movie they got pretty much every single black actor I could ever think of, except for like Morgan Freeman, Samuel L. Jackson, or Denzel Washington, because everyone in that movie I've been seeing in other stuff since, like Okoye was Tupac's mom, and see that in his and her husband in that one was in Get Out, of course. And of course there's Forrest Whitaker, who does sort of this weird accent that he also did it in Rogue One, a Star Wars.
And you know what,
really
too?
Uncanny.
Yeah, and for our listeners who also aren't really up on their book smarts on all this nerd shit, is little do y'all know that who's the stand-up comedian on Comedy Central, the black dude, light-skinned black dude. He took over the Colbert Report.
Trevor Noah?
Yeah, Trevor Noah. Trevor Noah, wherever he's from, in Africa or wherever he's from, that language that they used in Black Panther is a real language, and that's Trevor Noah's native language. Random fact of the night.
Yeah. Although I will say, like, it's one of those, it's like, that's, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, everything that they led up to in Black Panther, it's like, oh hey, we've kind of been sitting on our laurels in this tech utopia while the rest of the world, specifically the rest of Africa, still kind of had to eat shit. Because I cannot think of a country that just kind of seems to be getting more just shit heaped up on it than Africa. You know, if they don't have their own internal conflicts or diseases or environmental factors, they got missionaries from our country trying to mess their stuff up. And of course I'm talking about extremists like IHOP, not the pancake place, but the International House of Prayer, which is actually here in Kansas City.
Yeah,
We actually know people that have had contact with that facility, and they've got stories.
Yeah, we're gonna move on from that.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
Yeah, so let's go on to our next segment here. Get a little act up on them. All right, real quick, I want to say rest in peace to Nipsey Hussle. The marathon continues. You will be missed. I was actually put on a Nipsey by a professor of mine. I remember he mentioned Nipsey's mixtape at the time. This was like 2010. And I don't think it was the mixtape that he was selling for $100, but I think it was the one where, like after that or whatever, like, cause he released several mixtapes before he ever even released Victory Lap. But anyway, that's what really got my attention on Nipsey. And I remember asking that professor, and keep in mind, this is a professor I'm talking about. I was like, you jam Nipsey like that? And he was like, oh yeah, Nipsey goes hard, man. And I'm like, okay. So I remember going on like Spinrilla, DatPiff, whatever, Hot New Hip Hop, and downloading the Nipsey mixtape. And then I ended up hearing about, the mixtape that he was selling for $100. And if you don't know, Nipsey released a mixtape online, and the truth of the matter is that most people could download it for free, even though he put $100 price tag on it. So he did that to show loyalty in the game. And Jay-Z actually reached out to him and bought 100 of his $100 mixtapes. And that, after listening to him a little bit, is what put him on the map for me. And even when I first heard that mixtape prior to that, I didn't really feel like, oh man, this guy goes hard or anything. But I did get an understanding of his hustle and motivate type thing. But I just kept him as somebody that I listen to, because there's a lot of artists that I do listen to, and there's a lot of artists that I don't. There's some artists out there like Dizzy Wright, Freddie Gibbs. It's they're on my radar, but they're not artists that I listen to on the regular. Like Wiz just dropped his new mixtape or his new album. Anytime Wiz drops an album, I'm listening to it. But I'm going to take my time for most people. So at that point, when I got put on a Nip, I was like, oh man, okay, this is pretty good. And then so I kept listening, and then eventually I remember he released Victory Lap. And I can't remember who was in the video with him, but he was riding around. It was like a Rolls Royce, and he had the It was a video of him in a Rolls Royce with another dude, and it was the Wraith because it had the stars on the ceiling. And he was like, "This is my new mixtape. What do you think? We're going to ride around and listen to it." But they filmed it. And I'm like, man, this doesn't really sound that good. Like, you know, you see all this audio equipment and everything. I'm a big audiophile. And I'm like, if you're going to release a video of an album review or like a listening session, I feel like you should like do that in post-production. But they just pretty much had a camera mounted in the car while they're like playing it through like the car speakers. But at the same time, it created a lot of buzz on that album. So I remember when it did finally drop, like, you know, I don't know if you're an Apple Music person or if you're a Spotify person or whatever, but when, you know, Apple Music, they do like a preview for a album, usually you can just listen to like 1 or 2 tracks until it drops, and it'll be like, we'll remind you when this album drops, and you get the full album. So he was on my radar like that, and then throughout time until it finally released, I remember getting the whole thing. I listened to that, and it was Rap Niggas. That was my favorite track off the album. That one, and obviously Dedication. And for me, that was my motivation every day. This is when I was living across the street, and, you know, the apartments weren't that great or whatever. And I just remember listening to that album, and it was one of the most prolific moments in my life. And it did make me get up and want to hustle and motivate every day. So rest in peace to Nip. I still jam your music. I hope the marathon continues, and I wish your family nothing but success. I hope any debt that your family has been left with, I heard there was controversy over your will or whatever, is cleared up through donations and through productions. I know that the DJ Khaled album, Father of Assad, came out a couple of days ago, if not yesterday. And he has a track on there. So there's still music coming. Please, please, please listen and support. That one really hit close to home. I have a sister living in Hidden Hills right now, and they were actually affiliated with his store. They would go and visit from time to time, and they showed nothing but love. They showed love to her boyfriend. They provided them with clothing, and that's what I was brought up on. All of this, you wouldn't see that if it wasn't for people like Nipsey Hussle that allowed me on the days when I was skipping school, doing stuff that I had no business doing, but they offered a safe haven for me inside their businesses and their boutiques. I'm not going to say any names on that, but, you know, those type of people are the people in the community that we need. And I'm almost, a little teary-eyed just thinking about how much of a hustler, motivator, and just great businessman and husband to the game and to his wife, Lauren London, that we lost. So rest in peace, Nipsey Hussle.
And to further RIPs, RIP Grumpy Cat.
Please elaborate.
The internet viral sensation Grumpy Cat, which
Oh, goddamn. You can't follow Nipsey with Grumpy Cat. This ain't the Breakfast Club. That's some Charlemagne shit right there. God, man, we're going to have to find a new co-host. God damn,
it's
man.
called levity.
Anyway, pour a drink out for Grumpy Cat. Rest in peace, Nip. Let's move on.
I'll pour it out right into my gullet.
All right. So let's see. We got Kanye West. He just had his 4th child. It was a surrogate child. And, we wish him nothing but greatness and prosperity in that. But I have some questions, Jay. What are you thinking naming your kid's Psalm? I mean, I'm all into biblical names. I'm named Michael after the Archangel Michael.
And I'm named Joshua after the saint that preceded Moses.
Mm-hmm. I'm all into biblical names, but I've never heard anybody name Psalm. And I just want to know, what is your reasoning behind naming your son, daughter, Book of Psalm? Even looking into that, there wasn't a lot of information on that because it's so recent. But, I know you got Northwest, you've got Saint, and your kids, they all have these abstract names. But I know you're trying to start like a legitimate church. You've been having these Sunday services and all of these, praise and worship sessions. You've got Kim going to it. She's a proud mom. She's happy she gets to go to church every Sunday with her family. So that's great that you've done that for your family and for your circle. And you haven't isolated yourself as nothing but an entertainer. But I need you to explain this, because even throughout your whole, not talking about like Jesus Walks, but through your recent, holy rolling, there just hasn't been much explanation or any like word that I've heard. At least it hasn't been publicized in the same way that, say, like your set at Coachella has been, your merch, your church clothes and things like that. So I want to hear that, and we're going to follow up on that. And please comment and share if anybody has an article or information on that.
I'm sure Kanye is going to get back to you on that.
Please do.
Though I do have a theory on why that is so. Given that he has now been officially brought into the Kardashian/Jenner clan for a while, they get these names because they're very attention-grabbing names, and that is the entire process by which that family has managed to make their nut for so many years. It's getting their names onto the headlines, onto the articles, just any way they can. That's how they subsist, essentially. The more they can get, whatever it may be, whether it's previous faux marriages or whatever dramas they encounter, or giving your kid an unusual name.
I feel you, but at the same time, it's also like, I do, like, honestly, for his son, I believe it's a boy, I think he is blessed to have this name. Especially that he was born around the time that Kanye is in this stage of his life. Because as we all know, Kanye has these stints of very leftist views and things like that last for a couple of weeks, if even a couple of months, So I hope that he stays on this path. I do support his Trump ideologies as well, but we saw how short-lived that was. And
well, I mean, part of the reason like he's kind of got onto that was because he latched on to Candace Owen, who made her nut on the while being a black conservative woman. Apparently, she had a congressional hearing a while back, and she just absolutely bombed. Like everyone on her side is basically
I did see that.
Is basically just dropping her. Like
I did see that. She was
like
actually like temporarily banned from Facebook. But you know what? That's actually a pinnacle, because
a lot of conservatives have. It's
a lot. And you know what? But she's the first that I've heard that was temporarily suspended, because the headlines usually read who's the Muslim guy? Louis Farrakhan. Farrakhan, he's permanently banned from Facebook. There were several other extremists that were banned from Facebook. But to hear that someone was temporarily banned, it makes me wonder exactly what is the guidelines that Facebook runs these bans on, and what exactly does it take to get permanently banned, and what it takes to get temporarily banned.
It's one of those things. It's like, granted, a lot of people that got banned are people I'm not fans of in the slightest, but it does, because I always think about what happened with Alex Jones. Like, multiple platforms just gave him the ban hammer, like, consecutively, all within a short amount of time.
Who is this?
Alex Jones.
Alex Jones.
They're turning the freaking frogs again!
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I usually do a better Alex Jones impression. I don't know why my voice is off today.
Yeah, our voices are a little off today. You can see we're keeping very hydrated. We have some mics hard. We would love an endorsement.
Hydrated / intoxicated. Then again, I think alcohol actually dehydrates you.
Yeah, this is actually the pregame. But
yeah, it's like he kind of got it all just within a short amount of time. It's one of those things. It's like, I'm not a fan of him, and he's done some horrible stuff, and I hope that the Sandy Hook families win their lawsuit and basically sue him out of oblivion. But just the fact that all these online platforms were able to just almost erase him, like, practically overnight. It's kind of in the sense of, if they can do that to him, they can pretty much do that to anybody.
And the fact that they have that power is one thing, but the fact that they're using it for specific people who have such a large audience, to me, is a bit ridiculous. You know, it's like, wait until they come after Al Sharpton, wait until they come after a few more people.
I don't know, they probably won't. They've been pretty clear on like where they're, which side side left or right there. Yes.
But you call it what you want. For example, Louis Farrakhan, they're talking about, oh, he's spewing hate and everything. Well, I did some research into that. Okay, they're talking about the slander that he has against the Jewish community. Well, for me, you know, it was a no-brainer. Immediately when I saw that, I Googled Mark Zuckerberg, and I looked at what his religion was. It's Jewish. Yeah. Okay.
Well, we were thinking about Mark Zuckerberg. He was actually atheist for a little while, but then he just kind of went back to Judaism.
Sure, exactly. Went back to it. So think about this. Louis Farrakhan, and here we go into this political role. We're throwing a bit of a crescendo into it, and we want to get deeper into it in a later episode.
We're walking on a bed of hot coals here. So bear with us here.
Please, but at the same time, I just want this to be known. Okay, Louis Farrakhan got banned from Facebook. And it was because of his hateful rhetoric towards the Jewish community. Now, I read the rhetoric, and yes, it's hateful. It's very hateful. He calls people white devils and things like that. I might be a little bit out of context, but it's along those lines. Okay. Now, the thing is, I knew nothing about that until he got banned from Facebook. And what he's saying is that the Jewish community holds certain keys to certain doors. Okay. Keep in mind, I'm just the middleman here. Okay, now he gets banned from Facebook. Immediately, no brainer. I Google Mark Zuckerberg, Jewish man. What does that tell you?
Yeah, it just. Well, I mean, let's face it. Let's be completely honest. He's the CEO of a major company. He probably has no idea who the dude even is because he's just got so much other things to do. But even if he got personally offended,
I think it's bigger than personal offense. I think there's some truth behind the matter, and that's where I'm coming from, where I feel like we need ownership and things, and again, we're really trying to teeter on this political stance of what we're trying to crescendo into later episodes. But you know, if he's banning someone for hateful rhetoric towards the Jewish community, he's Jewish, he's a $1 billion CEO of one of the largest companies in America next to Elon Musk and all these guys, you know, that tells me that maybe there's some truth to the pudding. You know what I'm saying?
But, well, I mean, if you're using it out of that, rhetoric, I mean, if you want to put him up as contemporaries, I know that Bill Gates is an atheist. I know Steve Jobs was actually, I heard he was actually Buddhist. And
sure.
Not sure what Elon Musk
all
is.
I'm saying, though, is rather than keeping people in the dark, like me, who knew nothing about this whole topic, you know, when you do something as strong as banning someone who is, quote unquote, exposing a community for being in a position of power and controlling people almost like a puppet master, that's what Louis Farrakhan is saying, is that Jewish people run America. That's what he's saying. Yeah. And so Mark Zuckerberg, a Jewish man, CEO, $1 billion industry, has banned this guy from exposing him. So just think about that, okay? Think about how many Jewish people are in the White House, how many, all these things. And I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not saying anything like that. But he just exposed the key holder to, backdoor politics. Bam. It's on the table. I knew nothing about it. So now I have my third eye open to, people like Mark Zuckerberg and these other guys. Because of some of the stuff that Mark Zuckerberg does, I don't agree with. He's taking our private information, it's being uploaded to servers and stuff like that. There's stuff hidden in between the lines. He's been taken to court. And a lot of stuff that the people in court have said is stuff that they just don't understand because they're not of our age bracket and stuff like that with technology. But at the same time, it's like, again, keep your third eye open for stuff like that. Farrakhan even said that there was secret messages that were sent to Jewish employees in the Twin Towers during the 9/11 attacks. Now, that's a conspiracy theory, but at the same time, when he's saying stuff like that and he's getting banned from the platform at the same time, it really makes you wonder.
Yeah. The views of Michael do not necessarily reflect the views of the Subject to Change podcast. I don't know if this is going to turn out sour or not. I'm just covering my ass just in case.
All right.
But seriously, I can kind of get that. It's like by doing that, it almost makes Verikov's conspiracy theories true. He's like, Jews control the media. And then Mark Zuckerberg's like, I'm a Jew and I'm controlling this media.
Mm-hmm. All right. We're going to go ahead and transition into our next segment. This one is for our car enthusiasts. When I was researching some of the topics for the podcast, today's episode, I came across the advertisements for the 2020 Supra. One of the videos that stood at the top of YouTube was by a man named Doug Demuro out of Austin, Texas. That's Doug, Demuro. That was on YouTube. And he was one of the first people that was allowed to test drive the Toyota Supra. He actually met with the engineers behind it, the production specialists, whatever their title is. He met with these people. So some of the stuff that I saw in the video was all of the BMW features that this car had. Now, we're really trying to grow our audience here. Josh and I, we had our meeting before this, and we, talk about how, this topic is so different than some of the topics that he would bring to the table. And I'm like, well, we also want topics that I would know, like, a little about, and for you to bring to the table. So if our audience members out there, have interests that have like big cultures behind them, such as the sneaker community and things like that, we would love for you guys to show support and love, and we'll really just go in on these topics and help viewers out with news, because I think the biggest thing is just it's a challenge trying to keep up with all of this, and at the same time it's still entertaining, and we want everybody to get a piece of what they're interested in instead of just appealing to one demographic. Well, some of the things that we saw in the 2020 GR Supra was it's 335 horsepower. That's pretty controversial. One reason is because the old Celica, it had like 300 horsepower, so this one only has like 50 more horses. And back then, it was actually the king of the road. It was supposedly the most, it was the fastest car on the road at the time compared to other models. Now you got stuff like the Nissan GTR that has like 600 horsepower and stuff like that. But the thing is, the production specialist that met with Doug actually talked to him about this, and he's talking about, Toyota made the executive decision to keep all of that open so that, third-party people can come in and make tuning kits and stuff for this car. One of my favorite things that I like about the car is just the sound in general. I drive a Scion TC. It's the 2015 model. I actually had a 2012, also back when that came out. And one of my favorite things is the startup sound, but the idling sound is my absolute favorite. So we're going to go ahead and play a snippet of that. I'm going to go ahead and play that just one more time because I really want you to focus on the idling. It's only about 1 second worth of audio before he hits the acceleration on that. Doesn't that sound nice? That's a BMW engine. The interior is also all BMW. Under the hood, you can see different labeling from BMW. And, I feel like you're really going to get what you pay for with this car. I believe like the sticker price is around $50,000, and for it to have all of these BMW parts, it really justifies the price. And Doug actually drove the car later on in his segment, and you could hear just the roar of the engine and the acceleration. It's only available in automatic, but I think that it has everything that a car enthusiast would like. And especially the fans of the classic Supra, they kept some stuff like the logo and things like that, whereas it just doesn't hold its weight in 2020 as the king of the road. But for someone that is a fan of that and is a fan of Toyota, such as myself, I think you will like it. And it does have the option for tuning, such as a rear spoiler, air intake. There's a lot of dummy valves on the hood, and different things that you can modify. It has twin tailpipes, and it has a body style similar to other cars out there, and like such the Nissan GTR. But it is a very beefy car. Even like the door wells and the door jambs, they're really wide, and it just shows the stability that they put into this car. And the interior is untethered, like with just the details. A lot of people call it red guts. It has red interior, leather interior, and it comes with all this BMW tech. It's just very sophisticated, very sleek, and I could definitely see myself driving that. All right, we want to finish up the show by inviting guests to the show. We want other professionals to bring something to the table. We look forward to having creatives on the show. We also have projects as well. Josh is an avid artist. He does large murals, like large format. He's printed several mediums of his artwork. He could explain that better than I could.
Yeah. All right. I consider myself more very multimedia, both digital and traditional.
Yes, he does this for a living, and honestly, what he does in his field is pretty much my goal of what I could do in my field. He works pretty much a graveyard shift, and he does digital marketing. And I just, I think if you love something that much, and people like us, right now it's 10 o'clock, we like to work through the night. This session was prepared just, throughout the night, in the wee hours of the night, and we just want professionals with similar interests and passions to be a part of our podcast series. So we invite those to come onto the show. We'll give you a segment, and we'll let you promote your brand, and we look forward to having you numerous times. We also have T-shirts coming soon. We have our logo here. You may have seen it off camera. Let's see. Let me get that for you guys. I'll go ahead and give you guys a test preview. We're still working on the font here, but this is subject to change. This is an example of some of Josh's artwork. He actually freehanded this and then went in and edited the pixels. You can see right here, it's kind of like a Bitmoji style, but it's very original. We can zoom in and just look at the detail. Look at the bridge on his mustache.
Is the camera angle going to catch that, you think? Or?
Yeah, I have it in there. I could kind of swipe left to right so the crowd could see this.
I could probably smooth out all those details more as I fix the font as well.
Yeah, so we look forward to putting this on T-shirts and other merchandise, and we have other ventures as well, such as independent fashion lines that are bigger than just T-shirt brands. So with that said, we'd like to wish you guys a wonderful rest of your week, whether you're going into the work week, whether you're going into the weekend, party hard. Always, if you're faced with any recreational decisions, ask yourself, WWMD, what would Moosie do? WWJD. And just thank you for listening again. If you're interested in looking into Michael Cooper, the first Senate campaign, please visit facebook.com/vote4 Cooper, Texas. And you guys have a great rest of your evening, and we're out.
Right when it ended, I just got a